All right. So today I want to talk a little bit about the route layer, but not just about the route layer, but how you can have some fun with it using the web speech API. So first off, the route layer. There's a great sample in the ArcGIS API for JavaScript SDK on an intro to route layer. And it basically shows you how you can create the route layer, even persist it in online. So you can save it as part of the web map, or save it as a new route layer. Completely up to you how you want to do it. But it's basically a layer of directions, right? So if you go in online, you can create a new set of directions, do some routing, and save that as a layer. So it's going to contain all the points, all the edges, basically the lines, as well as any stops and barriers that you might have added into the route, right? So it's the all-encompassed route layer for you to do whatever you need to do with. So you can see here, there are some barriers on the streets. There's a polygon barrier over here for a fictional event. And maybe there's some incident on the freeway. So you want to avoid that particular intersection as well. So it's going to route you from the Ontario airport to the Esri offices, which is a pretty popular route for people coming in from out of town. All right, so maybe I want to take the directions that are part of each point along the route. So I'll go from point A to point B to point C to point D and so forth, so on and so forth. And I want those particular directions. And I want to use the web speech API for a mobile application. So maybe I open this app up on my browser on my phone and say, start my directions, and it'll guide me along the way. Now, normally what I would do is I'd probably use the geometry engine to measure the distance between where I'm currently at and the next point in directions. And if I'm within a certain distance, then I'll tell it, upcoming directions, do this or do that, and I'll repeat it until I get to that particular point. Kind of like if you just use regular directions on your phone or something like that. And again, this is just for fun. This might not be production ready stuff we're doing here, but gives you an idea of things you can do. So I won't go into too much detail on the web speech API. Definitely look at the documentation for that. Like the MDN docs are pretty good. Things you can do. But if I've got my application here, basically what I want to do is I want to grab the speech synthesis off the window, right? It's a global kind of like navigator and stuff like that. And then I want to do something with it. So if we come down here, I can get the direction points off the route layer. And the direction points are going to be, it says right here, it's a collection of direction points that represents the turn-by-turn directions along a solved route. So these are each of the points along the route. They also contain information like what to do, head west towards whatever, make a right turn here or there or something, right? So now we can start playing around with this. So let me see here, what do I want to do? So I could do like a loop over the array and maybe do like a for of or something, and then a set timeout so that it can do the speech, and then maybe wait a few seconds, then do the next direction, something like that. But that's not exactly ideal. But this is a good chance for me to use iterator. Just do .next every time I want to go to the next direction point. So let's try that out. So direction points are a collection. You can't get an iterator directly off the collection, but you can get off the array. So if I do something like, I don't know, let's see, const points is going to be equal to direction points dot to array, and let's do values like so. Right? So now the point is going to be an iterator that I can just do a .next on, get the value, and I can also see if it's done or not. If I did entries, I would get the 0 and the one I get an array for the value, but I don't want that. I just want the values. I don't care about the index at all. Sometimes you might not, for like an object or something else you might want that key, but I don't care. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to create a function called speak to me. Speak to me. I don't think it needs to be async, not yet. And this is going to take a point, and I'm going to do something in this point. All right, awesome. So let's say here, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to be adding a new point to the graphics to show where the directions I'm reading from, right? So whatever direction point that is, I want to highlight it on the map. So I'll just create a new graphic for that. So do view dot graphics dot remove all. So it's clear up the graphics layer. Now I want to do view dot graphics dot add. We're going to add a new graphic here, and the geometry is going to be the point geometry, and my symbol. Yes, I used the ArcGIS symbol playground to get me this. Oh, okay, so there. So I just got a little diamond marker that I'm going to display. Okay, so I've added my graphic now. So at this point, actually, you know what? I don't, it's okay. Let's do it like this. So then what I want to do is I actually kind of want to, as I'm doing my directions and I'm driving, I want to center the map on whatever direction point I'm at. So let's just do a view dot center is equal to point dot geometry. And I've also got this small little element over here that can display the directions as well. So I'm gonna put the directions in there. So I already defined it, so it's called an element, and the inner HTML is going to be equal to the point display text. Display text. And that is, if you look at the documentation for a direction point, which we can do here. Okay, so we look at the documentation for a direction point, make this a little bigger, and we want to see the properties here. There's a property here called display text, the direction item text to display on the screen, which is what we're going to do. Display it on the screen. So we've got that. Okay, so now comes a part where I'm going to take that display text and turn it into speech, right? So I'm going to get the docs and the MDM and stuff call this an utterance because you're creating a speech synthesis utterance of some of a sentence or text or something like that. So that's what I'm going to call it here. Create a new one. Speech synthesis utterance. Oh, thank you, IntelliSense. Display text. Oh man, okay. All right, so there's my text. Now it's going to. This is just getting the utterance for it. I'm not playing it just yet. I want to get an event listener for this utterance. So I can add an event listener here. And I can add a listener for the end event. And these are different events you could listen to. In my case, I only care about the end. Hopefully there's no errors. Okay, so now what I can do is I'm going to get the next point in the iterator. So I'm going to go and say that const, we're going to destructure this one, is equal to points dot next. All right, and I care about getting the value and whether or not it's done. So if it's done, don't do anything because we're at this point, we're done. So let's just return. However, if it's not done, then I want to run this again, and I'm going to be doing the speak part in a second here after the event listener part, right? So I want to recursively loop this again. So, but I don't want it to do it right away. If I do it right away, it's gonna be like one sentence to another. It's kind of too quick. So let's do a little set timeout. Yeah, it's just gonna be a small one. And let's do it like 1.5 seconds. All right. So what I'll do here is I'm gonna say speak to me, and we're gonna pass it the value, which will be the point, the next point in the iterator, right? So then on the event listener, so down here what I want to do is now I'm going to speak. I'm going to grab that synth that I grabbed up here. Remember, we grabbed this, where is it? Speech synthesis. Synthesis. If I can speak. This thing says speak better than I can. And basically the method is just called speak. And we want to speak an utterance. Like so. Right? And honestly, that should be it. Most of this code is already available to me. I'm just adding speech to it at this point. So let's see what happens. Okay, so it didn't work yet because I didn't pass the first point to it. So what I need to do here is I need to say const is going to be equal to points.next. So I need to grab the first point in here. So I'm going to get the value out of here. And we're going to call speak to me on that first value. Okay, now let's try it. Now I'm kicking off the whole speech loop. Let's try this out, see what happens.
Start at Ontario Airport. Go southwest on Northway toward East Airport Drive. At the traffic light, continue forward on North Archibald Avenue. Bear right to merge onto I-10 East toward San Bernardino.
Next directions.
Take exit 68 on the right to Riverside Avenue toward Rialto.
Get off the freeway.
At the traffic light, turn left on South Riverside Avenue.
Update the text
Cross
here.
over the railroad track. Turn right to merge onto CA 210E. Take exit 85B on the left to merge onto I-10 East toward Indio. Take exit 79 on the right to Eureka Street toward Orange Street CA 38. At the traffic light, turn left on North Eureka Street. At the traffic light, turn left on West Colton Avenue. At the traffic light, turn left on Texas Street.
All these lights, man.
At the stop sign, turn right on West Stewart Avenue.
It's a little different than I would have done it.
Bear left. At the stop sign, turn right on West Redlands Boulevard. At the traffic light, turn left on New York Street. Turn left to stay on New York Street. Restriction through traffic prohibited. Finish at Esri Campus, on the right.
And there we go. So it's all done. That's why I've got the headphones on, so I can hear what's happening here. But yeah, there we go. That's all that's really needed to be able to work with the web speech API in your apps. And I thought the RouteLayer was a good place to use something like this because I could, it's pretty easy to get the directions from the points in the RouteLayer and then just use the web speech API to speak to me while I do it, because this is kind of like a hands-free type of situation, right? I'm going to have this phone in my, I don't have one of those things on my dashboard like most people do. I just keep it in the cup holder and let it talk to me, which is fine. Sometimes I'll hook it up to my radio or whatever. But yeah, this kind of thing that you can do. And you don't have to just use it for directions. Maybe it's something for like alerts, right? So something pops up in your device when you have your map open. Maybe someone's making edits and you need to know when an edit happens somewhere. You can have that pop up. There could be all kinds of different things you might want to use this for some kind of a hands-free use case. Okay, and there's a lot more you could do with the web speech API. You can have different voices as well as different languages, which is pretty cool. I don't know if it does automatic translation. I want to say it does, because I've gotten some weird results by changing the voices to ones that use different languages. So yeah, try it out, have fun with it. Like I said, this is just a really fun experimental thing that you can do, and I like it, so I figured you might like it too. If you got any questions, feel free to ask. Don't forget to drop a comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Thank you. I just want to let you know that I've started a new podcast called The Bounding Box, where I'll be talking about geo development, web development, and everything in between. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and plenty of other places that you can find podcasts. There are a few episodes available now. We are in a bi-weekly schedule, so every other week. I'll be having guests on talking about various topics. So please tune in, please subscribe, and let me know what you think. Thank you.